Pues ahora tenemos nuestra última ponente, Dianne, que we're going to change to English, right? Yes,
Please.
even though your
Yes.
Spanish is good, but
I understand
so
Spanish.
yeah. So Dianne, if the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. My task is to talk about my reflections on governance and what this means for moving forward in terms of creating the space to continue this dialogue. And I guess I'd like to draw a little bit from a bigger picture in terms of the fact that I think throughout the course of, the last day and a half, we've actually really come to understand that we are moving very rapidly towards a future which is not the past. We can't even describe, or we don't have any model for this future that the sharing economy is taking us towards. But we're moving at such a rapid rate that it's very important that we start to really think about what this means in terms of new models for our economy. But our economy obviously exists within this social, political and environmental context. And so I guess there's a few things that I wanted to raise here, was that this sort of post-industrial situation that we're moving towards is a very mobile, global one, where people are taking different roles. We've seen here just an hour, but throughout the last day, that, we've got this, we're even inventing new terms. The prosumer, or I've also seen the prod user, as terms to try and capture these shifting roles of people playing multiple roles within this system. So, it's this new system, this new vocabulary, new roles, but what we're actually stuck in is a governance system that is very much based on an industrial system. So when I talk about governance, I'm talking about the space in which dialogue happens between all the different users that are involved, so that we can actually set a path forward. So it's the space, but it's also the processes, the quality of the dialogue that we need to really take care of. And as I said, because we're moving so rapidly, I don't think we've actually stood back and thought about the quality of this dialogue that's taking place, or the voices that are actually represented there. Moving towards the second point I wanted to make was actually about looking at the quality of these spaces and the voices. And I think we have an enormous capacity in some of the big platform players like Airbnb and Uber, who are really engaging in this policy debate, and they're putting information in. And it's almost because they are, this is the sort of creative leading edge. They're also playing roles in trying to develop this policy space. But because we're still in this governance framework in which it's a very industrial governance framework, that historically in the past we've had very clear roles and responsibilities, and we've had industry members, and we've had DMOs, and we've had governments and bureaucrats and citizens, and people have these very strict envelopes that they operate in. And so companies like the platform companies, Airbnb, Uber, you name it, are really starting to engage in multiple ways. And because they need to push these boundaries of how governance is taking place, they're often, I think, trying to push these boundaries, and there's a lot of criticism, unfortunately, that you get from the media and different places. But I mean, really what they're doing is trying to create this space, and I think we need to reflect on how we, as politicians, bureaucrats, community, different players, the producers, how we can also start to create a more facilitative, inclusive dialogue. And a space that it's less hostile, I suppose. The third comment that I wanted to actually make is about the quality of the information that goes into this governance space. I mean, we can have all of the discussion that we like, but unless we're actually really basing this on good quality evidence and information which is well thought out, and we're trying to sort of remove the hot politics out of it and really trying to create conducive dialogue, we really need more information, and for this we need monitoring and evaluation. But something that I also raised in my earlier presentation was the fact that I think we need to be very careful about the sources of those information and make sure that the information that enters into this governance space is balanced. It's okay to have different interests bringing in different information and different points of view, but we need to make sure that that's a very balanced dialogue. If we don't have a balanced dialogue and balanced information, we're going to end up with this sort of jungle ad hoc regulatory response that I think is less conducive to a productive path forward. So yeah, they were my 3 points really about the quality of the governance space and the type and the space, the type of players involved, the spaces, the quality of the spaces and the voices, and the information. So those 3 points I'd just like to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dianne.